So, good morning, everyone, and so I'm here in the fog at Spirit Rock Meditation Center in Northern California. I'm teaching a retreat currently, and this is I'm sitting outdoors, just outdoors from the little room where I'm sleeping, living during the retreat, and behind me it wasn't as foggy when I first set up here, but the morning fog is coming in. It is you see behind you the rolling foothills of Marin County, and maybe in the course of the 45 minutes, maybe the fog will clear, and maybe you'll get to see the hills. Occasionally there'll be turkeys walking by. So happy to be here. Happy to be with you. And this week we are doing getting to the end of this Satipatthana Sutta, and we're doing what's called the 7 factors of awakening. And I'll say more about them later, but if you can think of them as the culmination of this, close to the culmination of this long practice of the Satipatthana, meaning practicing for a long time, not just sitting down and being introduced to mindfulness and expecting that the 7 factors of awakening will arise, but that these arise through practicing and developing and settling in. And so for this meditation, imagine that all the best moments of these weeks that we've been doing Satipatthana, if you've been following along, all the best moments of your meditation are bundled together, and you feel a tremendous trust in the practice, in your ability to practice, and that you're settling down here not so much to practice mindfulness as to allow for mindfulness, to allow for a kind of natural awareness to appear, to float up, to arise. And your job is mostly to get out of the way. If you let go of thoughts and distractions, it's mostly in order to allow for the kind of level, the form of awareness which is always here. And then to be aware of, to recognize what the mind is aware of in those circumstances. So some of this can still be directed towards the breathing, but the breathing now is not something that we're working or that we're intentionally focusing on, but it's more that we're opening to it to allow the naturalness of the sensations of breathing to enter into awareness. Or to say it differently, we're noticing what sensations of anything, what experiences of anything, including breathing, arise effortlessly in the mind. In relationship to the breathing, it's kind of like the doors of awareness are opened to the experience of breathing. And rather than bearing down, is noticing what is effortlessly arising in relationship to breathing into awareness. So to take a meditation posture and to settle down by now first taking a few long, slow, deep breaths. Some breaths that, as you breathe in, you're gathering together all the momentum or the associations, best associations of sitting down to meditate. And then as you exhale, you're letting go into the practice that arises from your body. You're letting go into the natural capacity we have to be aware that does not require intention. It requires allowing it, noticing that you are aware. Then letting your breathing return to normal. And we'll begin with a little exercise here. And that is, of all the present moment experiences that are occurring, what arises obviously, easily, effortlessly into awareness for you? What arises, maybe it's not even planned. Maybe you can't even expect it, that an itch or an ache or a pressure, particular thought or feeling. And before there's any reaction on your part to it, notice the effortless way in which it arises in awareness. Just there. And if you notice any holding and tension in your body, rather than relaxing, see what happens if you just effortlessly are aware of it, meaning you're not trying to do anything or fix anything or make anything happen. And maybe you're not even holding your attention on the tension, but you recognize it's there when it arises effortlessly, and your awareness a little bit maybe floats between different experiences. And not so much as you're directing your attention to the breathing, as you are opening the door or the window, and then you become aware. Breathing comes into awareness. And becoming aware of what is obvious about breathing. And what comes effortlessly. What parts of breathing, the experience, come effortlessly to awareness? And if If your mind floats between different things, the sounds of the birds, my voice, anything else that's happening in the present, just allow yourself to know that now the mind is aware of that. You might be confused by these instructions, and if you are, then simply no confusion. Allow that to be there effortlessly, in awareness. When the mind becomes aware of anything, maybe there's a little movement of relaxing you can do. Relaxing, trying, letting go of the mindfulness which is a trying or work, in favor of just keeping the doors of awareness open to receiving the experiences that float through. If you're able to be aware of what arises effortlessly, sometimes it's the more pronounced, stronger experiences of the moment, and sometimes it's the more subtle ones or the quieter ones. Sometimes the louder experiences recede to the background, and the quieter ones are what come. Sometimes the other way. Not having any choice, not choosing what to be aware of so much, is noticing that quality of the mind, that aspect of attention that seems to operate effortlessly. The quality of awareness. That you could not turn off if you stayed relaxed and present for the present moment. Can't not be aware. If you're trying to do anything, trying effortfully, see what happens if you let go of the trying and just let awareness, mindfulness, know what is obvious, rather than trying to overcome a distracted mind. Relax and simply know. Simply let there be in awareness the fact that you know the mind is thinking. Keep returning to being aware of how awareness, how knowing can operate effortlessly. By noticing the new things that come into awareness, unplanned, for a moment they're there, they arise. Before you try to do anything with it, try to be mindful. There's a simple knowing, simple awareness. And then as we come to the end of this sitting, is there anything about being aware that you can recognize, that you recognize is peaceful? That you recognize is safe, or something you appreciate, maybe even joyful. And then think of the people in your life, or the animals in your life, or the world around you. And perhaps you can wish for them to have some of the same peace, some of the same well-being or appreciation. And perhaps with your simple awareness, taking in and being aware of others, you can wish them well. And you can wish that your ability to be attentive can be a support for them. May it be through this practice that we do that we're able to bring greater safety and peace, happiness, and freedom to this world. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free. So I didn't bring a bell with me here outside. So maybe with this, saying thank you for being part of this, we end this sitting. Thank you. I saw a comment about the volume being low. I just increased the volume output for the mic on this computer. I wonder if that made a difference. Okay, so good morning everyone, and so this is the beginning of the week on the second to last exercise in the Buddha's discourse on the establishing awareness, and it is the 7 factors of awakening. And there's nothing in this exercise that talks about making these factors arise. It's more recognizing they're there and then maintaining them. So the 7 are mindfulness. Usually the second one is called investigation, and tomorrow we'll talk about it some. So mindfulness, investigation, effort, joy, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity. And these are considered to be the crown jewel of Buddhist practice sometimes, because they come when practice begins to mature and develop, when there starts to become kind of an inner momentum or naturalness of the qualities of the practice living in us and coming forth and flowing through us in a certain way. This is not an easy thing to experience. For beginners, it's not so easy. Sometimes it takes a long time of practice to these things get awakened. And as they become awake, they're present and they support us. Remember, this is the second to last exercise it's a 12th exercise of 13 exercises in this discourse we have. And I like to understand that the others provide the foundation. We're kind of building momentum, developing, learning how to be mindful in the body and feelings and the mind. And as that learning happens, and as the muscle of attention becomes stronger, muscle of being in the present moment becomes stronger, then we find ourselves that these things begin to arise. And the first one that arises, or the first one that's talked about, is sati, or mindfulness itself. And as I said, the text doesn't say, now practice mindfulness, now apply yourself more to being mindful. But it says, basically it says, notice that there is mindfulness there. And so the question is, what is mindfulness here? And I prefer to translate the word sati as awareness. And what we're doing is we're establishing awareness. We're abiding in it. We're dwelling in it. We are not doing awareness. Nowhere in the Buddha's teachings does the Buddha say, do awareness. Awareness itself is not a verb of something that we actively do, but something that we establish or allow for, we abide in. And and that's kind of in the very beginning of the text, if you remember along this at the start. It talks about abiding, observing the four foundations. So the city of abiding in something, knowing it's there in this very simple way. So So in that last meditation, I talked about the effortless quality of attention. There's certainly attention that can take effort, and sometimes that's useful to apply. But sometimes there's a kind of effort that is effortless. If you are just kind of minding your own business, and suddenly a loud bird nearby whistles, the first hearing of that bird just appears without any effort on your part. If I'm sitting outside, and just as I was saying this, I felt cold going through my thighs, and that cold was effortless, that it appeared, that knowing of it, it's just there. It called attention to itself, and my mind knew it, and I'm pretty equanimous and content to be here, and it was not a problem to just know it. So to begin appreciating, as practice deepens, as certain moments of practice, of meditation practice or other times, as it continues and matures, there'll be times when we can tune into this effortless quality of attention. And it might take some little gentle effort to let go enough to allow that to be there. But with time, it becomes kind of maybe the backdrop, or it becomes the foundation, it becomes the support for how we go through our lives, because there's a kind of a constant awareness of present moment experience as we live it. We don't get lost in our thoughts, we don't get lost in conversations, we don't get lost in the work we're doing. We can do it wholeheartedly, but there's a sense of feeling, a knowing that seems almost like effortless, that, oh, I'm here. This is where I'm present for. It's almost like being present for, or a feeling of presence, some people might say. Ever-present presence. Ever-present kind of awareness, attention. And why this is useful as we develop awareness is that it's an awareness that doesn't automatically come with attachment, with greed or clinging, with ill will, with aversion, with pushing things away. Things are just allowed to be there without us being for or against them. We don't have to accept them, and we don't have to condone them. We don't have to criticize them. The awareness is not awareness in and of itself is not involved in being for or against. It's not involved with needing to accept it or needing to reject it. It's just there with the experience. To practice acceptance is an extra step. This allowing things to appear in the mind effortlessly might be evaluated and thought as a kind of acceptance practice, but there's no acceptance being done. It's just things arise in awareness, and here we are. To do that with the breathing at the same time is part of the art of this that's possible to do. And I'd like to give you, if I can, on this format of the video here, I'd like to try to show you something. If this finger of mine is my breathing in and breathing out, and then one way of being aware of it, if my other hand is my mind, and so the idea of focusing on the breathing, really being there with it, and the mind comes and is really closes down, focuses, and it gets kind of tight, and it bears down, it focuses on it all together this way. Now that's fine, it can be done, and it's possible to get very focused and concentrated this way. That is very kind of nice. In other ways, not to make any effort in the mind like that. Keep the mind relaxed and open, soft, and just kind of available. And now I'm sitting outside, so I feel, when I do that, I start feeling the wind in the palm of my hand, the back of my hand, the cold in different places. It's kind of nice. And then gently, I bring these two together. This is the breathing, and this is the the hand, open hand is the awareness, and I bring them together so that the breathing and the softest part of the hand, most sensitive part of the hand, are in touch with each other. And now I'm really feeling intimately the breathing, and the world around me begins to fall away, disappear, recede, because the breathing becomes the only thing I'm aware of. But the breathing is known effortlessly. The coming and going, the rhythm, the different sensations are known effortlessly. There might be a tendency to want to do something again. I have to stay there, I have to stay, not lose it, and the mind begins to tighten up again and hold on. But the idea here, when you come to this part of the seven factors of awakening, is for sati, to be awareness, to be less and less work, and more resting and abiding in awareness, and then in that abiding, letting things be known effortlessly. And if there is any work at this stage of practice, it's to remember to do this. Remember to do this. Because it's not easy to be this way, there has to be some momentum in the mind. Don't try to do it if it's not easy. Rather, be very content, even to go back to the very beginning of Satipatthana. Go back just to the simplicity of practicing breath meditation. And the first 4 steps of this whole enterprise of Satipatthana is to really know your breathing, recognize the experiences of breathing, and that takes a little bit more effort. Then as you know it, know and recognize your whole body, and then relax your body. And that's how it begins. So you can always go back to do that. That's a fantastic practice in its own right, and it leads to where we're going here with the 7 factors of awakening. So if you're not there yet in the 7 factors, don't worry about it. It's not important for you then. But as the momentum builds, then you'll see that you can that there'll be a kind of an effortless awareness that arises that can hold things peacefully, hold things openly and clearly. And this is a gift. This is one of the great gifts of practice. And it sets the stage for the other 7 factors of awakening. And tomorrow I'll talk about investigation, and which sounds like a lot of work, but is also meant to have an effortless quality to it. And how does that work is what I'll talk about. So thank you, And I delight in being here outdoors and at Spirit Rock doing this with all of you. And and I see there's a note there, a chat about having an interactive session end of this week. Yeah, it's possible we can do that. I'll look at my calendar and see. I'm here at Spirit Rock through Wednesday, so tomorrow and the next day we'll do it this way in these rolling hills of Marin County, and then Thursday and Friday I'll be back at IMC. And so thank you all very, very much, and I look forward to being here with you tomorrow.